Hi, my name is Umberto Mucci and this is We the ItaliaNews, a weekly podcast about Italy. Today is Thursday, April 13, 2023. The Italian government called a state of emergency on all the national territory following the exceptional rise in migrant flows across the Mediterranean. Italy's state of emergency legislation, a mechanism employed during the COVID pandemic, grants special powers to national and regional authorities, cutting through red tape to implement, modify or revoke measures when required. The state of emergency, backed by initial funding of €5 million, will last 6 months. The proposal came from the Sea and Civil Protection Minister, former governor of the Sicily region, who said that it is a problem that is destined to remain with us for at least the next 10 years, a condition that puts state infrastructure under strain and that is inevitable because we are talking about human beings who have rights and toward whom we must take a responsible approach. In recent weeks, Italy has seen a significant rise in the number of migrants and refugees arriving on its southern shores from North Africa, with over 3,000 people landing over the last 3 days alone. The measure is aimed at improving the management of migrant arrivals, including the faster repatriation of those not permitted to stay in Italy, as well as boosting identification and expulsion orders. Births in Italy dropped to a new historic low below 400,000 in 2022 as the population continued to shrink. Last year, Italy recorded more than 12 deaths for every 7 births, and the resident population fell by 179,000 to 58,080,500. The population decline slowed somewhat compared with 2021 and 2020, 2 years heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Italy recorded 392,600 births in 2022, down from 400,249 the previous year, the 14th consecutive fall and the lowest number since the country's unification in 1861. A major factor is the reduction and the aging of the female population in the 15-49 age group, conventionally considered reproductive. The fertility rate edged down to 1.24 children per woman from 1.25 in 2021, registering a decline in central and northern regions and a marginal increase in the south. The province with the largest decline in births is Verbano-Cusio-Ossola in Piedmont, where new births in 2022 were 12.8% fewer than the previous year. At the opposite extreme is the province of Gorizia and Friuli-Venezia Giulia, with a 13.8% increase. In the province of Rome, the contraction was 3.4%, in Milan 2.3%, while in Naples there was a 1.7% increase. The trend was partly offset by immigration, with immigrants exceeding emigrants by 229,000 last year, compared with a net inflow of 160,000 in 2021. Foreigners made up 8.6% of the country's population in 2022 for a total of 5.05 million. Italy's overall population has been falling steadily since 2014, with a cumulative loss since then of more than 1.36 million people, equivalent to the residents of Milan, the country's second biggest city. 1 in 4 people in Italy is above the age of 65, while the number of centenarians has tripled to 22,000 over the last 20 years. Life expectancy at birth stood at 82.6 in 2022, with people in wealthy central and northern regions living longer than those in the poorer southern ones. Overall, men born in Italy can expect to live to 80 years and 6 months, and women until almost 85. There are too few young people in Italy, and among them too many drop out of school, especially in southern regions. There were 83,000 young people at the end of last school year who flunked out just because they did not meet the minimum attendance threshold. They are in danger of at least doubling by 2023. The Italian province with the worst percentages on this issue is Naples in Campania. Young people with no schooling or at most a middle school diploma now stand at 16.6% in southern Italy, compared to 10.4% in the center north. 16.6% is almost double the average of 9% in Europe. Perhaps partly because of this, the Italian government has announced that in the future, but not as early as next September, it wants to create a new kind of high school, the Made in Italy lyceum. In addition to subjects like Italian and math, this new type of lyceum should teach law, economics, languages, marketing, business models, and protection of made in Italy, studies on the international market, and knowledge of how small and medium-sized Italian companies are structured and work. In short, the idea is to create professionals who work to promote and defend Italian excellences in the global market, experts who can export and position our brands in the fields of fashion, new technologies, agribusinesses, but also in the cultural and tourism fields, and can effectively counter foreign competition. And talking about made in Italy, according to a recent report, nearly 2.4 million tons of Italian pasta, plus 5.2% over 2021, worth 3.7 billion euros, plus 31%, were exported all over the world in 2022. Namely, last year, more than 78 million servings of Italian pasta ended up on tables all around the world. About 61% of Italian pasta production is destined for international markets, compared to 48% in 2000 and only 5% in 1955. Italy, on the other hand, is also the leading producing country with 3.5 million tons per year, ahead of the US and Turkey. In Italy, per capita consumption of pasta is 23 kilograms per year, first in the world, compared to 17 kilograms in Tunisia, which is second in this ranking. One piece of good news is that it seems Italy finally wants to start exploiting its own territory, including the minerals hidden beneath our land. Some deposits have been abandoned, such as those of cobalt in Piedmont, many never exploited because raw materials such as lithium were considered unimportant. Yet Italy's subsoil contains at least 15 of 34 critical raw materials of enormous importance for the energy transition. They are essential components, for example, of wind turbines, photovoltaic panels, and electric car batteries. And some are present in abundance. Liguria, for example, has the largest titanium deposit in Europe and one of the largest in the world. Mapping of sites in Italy is being pursued. A first partial survey, which took into account mines known in Italy since 1870, shows that there are more than 3,000 sites, mostly concentrated in certain areas. These materials are cobalt, lithium, titanium, but also barite, beryllium, nickel, tungsten, and then there are better known but equally important materials such as copper, which is found in the Alps, in Liguria and Tuscany, or zinc, which was mined mainly near Bergamo in Lombardy. The government assures that mining exploration will take place without jeopardizing our standards of environmental and social protection. Last but not least, the northern city of Trentino in Alto Adige is the most generous large municipality in Italy for organ and tissue donations for transplants for the second consecutive year, according to the results of the latest donation index compiled by the National Transplant Center based on 2022 data. The tiny hamlet of Geraci Siculo, near the Sicily regional capital Palermo, earned the recognition as most generous small municipality, following an awareness-raising drive sparked by the death of a local 11-year-old girl in 2021. The middle-sized towns to top the rankings this year are Corato in Puglia and Guardiagrele in Abruzzo. The index is drawn up on the basis of declarations of intent to donate organs and tissues made by citizens during applications for electronic identity cards in over 7,000 municipalities across the country. Now, it's all for now, dear friends. Next week, I will be in New York, so We the Italian News skips. I will see you again on Thursday, April 27. Stay safe and take care. This was We the Italian News. My name is Umberto Mucci. Ciao from Rome.